Pleased to say Ignacio is here with us in the studio this afternoon. Good to see you again, my friend.
Yeah, good afternoon, Carl.
And we're just back, really, in the office, aren't we, if you think about it? September, people coming back off holidays. We're into October now, the countdown to Christmas sort of thing. And so how have things been going? Tell us a little bit about the courts. Moody was very interested in this. He's filming again today.
Yeah. Right. Well, as you know, I don't know if everybody will know, in August, most of the courts close except criminal courts. Okay, so they're still ongoing. They are 24/7 always, but the civil, the administrative courts, the labor courts, everything close in August, right? So it's good because they give us a break, and we could all go.
And of course, then you don't have people disappearing at all different times of the year. Everybody's away at the same time, so. Generally, you would hope that the administration would run smoothly and there wouldn't be too many delays. However, there are still quite a lot of delays in the Spanish courts, right?
Unfortunately, we live with it, Carl. We live with the delay or the overwhelm. Mm-hmm. Depending on the city where you are based, I could tell you that court will go faster or not.
So some are not as good as others.
Yes.
And there's a reason behind this in some cases, aren't there? Let's take Torrevieja, for instance, because you mentioned them when we were talking before we came on air.
Yeah, actually, unfortunately, I have a court case still outstanding. We had the trial 1 year ago, and we're still waiting for the resolution. We still didn't get it. We insist on the court runner and tell them, please speak to them, and they just said I left it in the desk of the judge.
And where's the judge?
Yeah, I think they changed the judge, and that probably is an issue. I mean, I really don't know the situation of that specific court. What happened is very unusual. But unfortunately, the client is waiting for a sentence.
Of course, yeah.
Plus, all the damage they had, it was defects on constructions case. So pretty much, you buy a property in Spain, then the builder obviously did build the property, let's put it this way, with defects or incorrectly. And then you need to sue the developer, builder, architect, and architect engineer.
So all this time, the client's got this problem with
waiting
the property
for
and still has it. So what causes that sort of thing? And you managed to say, you mentioned Torrevieja specifically, and it's something that we wouldn't generally think of in other parts of Europe, perhaps, because we don't have the same rules as far as the padron is concerned.
Right. Well, one of my guess why, but this is just probably personal opinion, why some courts are more overwhelmed than the others is because of population. The more people it is in a city, the more possibilities is for you to end up going to court for some reasons. Might be unfortunate because of an accident, might be a civil case against your neighbor, it could be about inheritance, or it could be whatever, right? So what happens to these courts? They get overwhelmed. They get with a lot of, I mean, if you just go inside Torrevieja court, you will see how busy they are, and the problem that you end up having is the clerks or the judges in general, they try to avoid busy courts. Why? Because they try to promote. So when they see that, they don't like, and they go for a different city. So you could imagine.
So they avoid these places.
So they come for
busy.
a year or 2 years or 3 years, and they just jump on the following one, or they prefer to go to the High Court in Alicante because it's a better life,
more
or quieter, or quieter place or whatever. So this is in fact what could happen on top of any other
There's
topic.
also a lack of personnel in the courts in, I mentioned it again, Torrevieja, for instance, because of the fact that whilst a lot of people may live there for part of the year, they perhaps don't live there for all of the year. And of course, once people sign on the padron, which, like I said, it's not something we have in Britain, so it's not something we're kind of used to, and actually some people would rather avoid being tracked or worry that they might be caught by the taxman or something. But if you're not signed on the padron, that has an immediate effect on all kinds of services, not just the courts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember saying one of the problems Torrevieja has is lack of policemen, lack of a lot of public functionary services. Why? They said because they call it floating population.
Yeah.
And so they really don't know how many people is really there. And I think that's one of the problems, but not only for the courts. is for everything.
All public services.
All public services.
So if you're not signed on the Padron, then the local government can't say to the national government, right, this is how many people we've got.
Basically.
This is how much money we need for our services.
Yes, that's basically it. Now, different cities, different scenarios, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I could tell you, because I've been in all the courts in this province, I've been to Elda, I've been to Denia, I've been to Benidorm, Villajoyosa, if you go down south, Elche, Torrevieja, or Novelda. Novelda is not good neither. Novelda is a busy one. Why? Because a wide population of people, a lot of small villages, and everything. If you go there, like for example, Pinoso, Hondon de las Nieves, Frailes, Aspe, all of them use the same court.
I see.
And a lot of, in the inland areas, there are always issues. And so I really think, and this is something that I hardly think is going to happen, but we really need more money for the justice. That's basically the bottom line.
But would only come from more people signing on the Padron, I guess, no?
Well, two things. One is signing. Once you this is always good. But second is the government needs to appreciate that is an issue.
The fact that they've got a transient population and therefore...
In general, Carl, justice is never being approached by politics in general.
No.
It's more... But they promote something different. But budget for justice is always a bit tight. I will put it this way.
I think the owners of the building around here have got quite a big budget, because every time we're interviewing this week, they seem to be drilling. And apologies for the noise, because it's a little bit distracting. I know you were doing very well there, but I have to mention it because it'll be coming out on camera and on the audio, I'm sure.
Right.
So that for some reason, I think they must sleep all day, because this is the time when it starts.
Really?
Always
your show.
I'm not sure what that is, but when we're about to talk to somebody, it's been quiet all day. But there we are. Apologies for that.
No, that's...
Tell us a little bit as well. Every time we go on to AlicanteLawyers.es, we click on the button, up pops a little face at the bottom of our screen asking us if we need any help. And of course, this is just one person, Tamsin, of a huge range of people who are behind the scenes at Pellicer and Heredia. You've got a big suite of offices and a large staff. All of this you can see on your website with the videos that you put up. But there's a lot of people behind the scenes.
Yeah, we're pretty much now reaching the figure of 20 people. So quite interesting. But I should say here that the secretaries that we have in all our office are great. They're fantastic. And you don't need to believe in it. You just try to speak to them. They're very helpful.
Tamsin's very efficient.
Very efficient. And but they all do a great job, because they are right in the middle between the lawyer and the client. Let's say you ring and they're in the middle, and they know our diaries. They know the client's emergencies. They try to accommodate. Always with a smile, trying to do the best. So I really appreciate that. And it's a hard thing, because people dealing with their own problems, Carl. For you, for me, our problems are number one. So you could imagine the stress they are always put through.
And a wealth of different cases and different situations and scenarios that you're having to deal with as well.
For example, immigration is very stressful as well, or criminal they're very stressful cases as well. Especially if you're in prison, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the tax as well worries people. And once you get a letter, they say, I got a letter from the taxman, and we don't like it.
No.
But they're very good. Then we have the lawyers as well, working.
A few of those we've met. Yourself and Pedro and Antonio, of course.
And I'll try to bring some of them over here. And then we have the accountants. So we've got the accountants. We have the lawyers,
tax advisors,
and then we have Pedro, myself, the lawyers, the accountants, and the secretaries. But to be honest, the secretaries are fantastic, because they try to accommodate with everything. And the diaries are difficult, One day I'm in one place, one day is in different. But the good thing is, there is always probably a lawyer available if necessary in case of emergency, and that's very good. Sometimes we will try to be ourselves, but we cannot be everywhere, unfortunately.
No, you need some backup, don't you, at times? Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, and actually, in the website you will see the faces of everyone, and yeah, they're doing very good, and actually, and then we use the blog as well, so they help us to build up the blog.
So there's lots of different things that you can find on the blog, various different situations. Today, in the webinar, you're talking about inheritance tax.
That's correct. Yeah. Pedro did publish if they go in our website, it's
AlicanteLawyers.es.
Yes, and then you click blog, and then you go taxes. Pedro did publish a very nice article. I mean, it's very long, very specific, but for those who are really interested to understand what is the rule on the dual taxation treaty for being tax resident.
Right.
Okay. It's very specific, very wide, very extent, but for those who are in some specific scenarios, I think they should read it, even though it's a bit thick.
And of course, the fact that you and Pedro have that experience of the UK as well, because you did study there, didn't you? Also, so you're quite qualified for situations in the UK as well as Spain.
Yeah, and actually now, Carl, the more you get in, now, I mean, we have so many wills that we made here in Spain, and we're doing a lot of international wills. And you could appreciate a lot of people left money in the bank in the UK or certain things. Well, for over £50,000, they request probate. So when you start doing the inheritance here in Spain, and then you need a hand in the UK, and sometimes it's difficult to get a hold of over there or somebody, and the prices over there as well. So we started doing the probate ourselves as well, because we are allowed to apply for probate in the UK from here. So we've been doing probate from Spain as well here, for those who probably were left out over there with money in the bank or certain specific. When it's about property, then obviously it's better to try to contact a solicitor or complex scenarios. But when we're talking about just organizing the probate, because Spain requests that, and because the bank in the UK sometimes requests that, then yes, we could help it. And all the background we had in the UK as well, it helps.
We were talking about the tax blog that Pedro wrote, Tax Resident Spain and the UK. Very interesting article. And the other thing that caught my eye on that page was the one that was done before that, essential paperwork for international remote posted workers. We know these as nomad workers or nomad visas, which of course has become very much a big thing since the pandemic. Yeah,
it's very popular, Carl. I mean, for two reasons. One, a lot of people from Europe wants to work remotely. Fine. Okay. And we wrote down there all the requirements for you to comply to be able to work remotely in Spain. Fine. And then you could, obviously, if you're earning more than 50,000 euros, you're a Spanish who's been away more than 5 years, European or non-European, you could apply for the Beckham law, which means paying only on the salary that you're earning, and the rest is being taxed in your home country.
I see.
So nomads have two benefits. If you're a non-European, you could apply for the visa. Two, if you are working remotely, you could apply for Beckham law. Okay? So it's quite popular. Where it gets complex is in the situation whether you want to be self-employed or you're working for somebody else, what documents you need to get, etc., etc. But the key of the case, Carl, is to apply for the A1 and the S1.
So they're certificates, yeah?
The certificate, especially from the UK, right? Well, the A1, even though they're international documents. But if you manage, and I know UK and Spain have this bilateral agreement, so you could pay Social Security in the UK, and you could work here without paying Social Security here. And then you could enjoy your health because you did contribute in the UK, right? So that's Social Security. Then you need the benefit. You have the benefits of taxes. You could apply only if necessary for the Beckham law. And 3, if you're a non-European country, you could apply for a visa. So I think it's excellent. It's excellent. And if you have a nice salary, live in Spain, getting a nice salary over there.
Northern European wages working in Spain, it's the ideal, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's ideal. And this is the way to go. Okay, this is. And the other article that Pedro wrote was about the keys for you being tax resident in Spain. Okay, for those who really need to learn a lot about it, even though it's a lengthy one.
It's quite complicated, but you can find the parts that are pertinent to you, certainly.
Yeah, correct. And
it's very well laid out. It's quite straightforward. Yeah. Once you know where you are and what you're looking for.
Correct. The bottom line and the easy bit is more than 183 days. Then you have what is the center of economic of interest. When you have, I live 50% there. If you go to the treaty, Article 4, I believe, or 3 or 4, it will tell you the rules, what to learn and know how to go when you are a tax resident or non-tax resident. Let's say you spend similar days. I know they are difficult.
Similar amount of days.
Similar amount. Then you have one property here, one property there. Then you have all your family here. Or you have it spread out.
And of course, people are different. So it's not always one rule applies because, like you said, that split might be different between different people.
So here, the set of rules for the specific is laid out. And I think it's good. I think we try to bring up content, Carl. We try to fill in a lot of information.
So the way to find that in alicantilawyers.es at the top of the website there on the right-hand side, you'll see blog and then the list of different blogs. Taxes is at the bottom. It's in alphabetical order. There we are. To find those specific to that we've been talking about. Non-resident tax in Spain then, Ignacio, it's Form 210.
Yes,
right?
That's correct. And there is a new thing that people, if they're renting out the property, they still need to do. You remember in the old days, they will have to do it every quarter, and you will do, if you rent it out, you do the quarter. If you don't, you do once per year. Well, now you need to do once per year only, which is good. It makes sense.
You own property in Spain, but don't live here.
Yes. So let's focus on people, non-resident, less than 183 days with property in Spain, either for themselves or just to rent it out. Okay, you do it from the 1st of January to the 31st of December, and you need to file it 1 year after. So this year, 24, we're doing 23, right? And the good thing is you have 1 whole year to do it. I mean, in our office, we do every October just to organize ourselves. So it doesn't take over the resident tax. So we try to do October. We do by direct debit to our clients, the tax and the representation. And we normally represent the clients because they need to provide their address abroad and an address in Spain. You do it once a year. You need to do one per person and per property. And I will need the IBI or SUMA bill to know the value of the property.
I see.
Then you multiply. There is an article actually in our website how to do it. Yeah. You multiply depending on 1%, 2% of that, depending on the length of time that is being the tax value updated, and then it is 24% of that value. But this form, it is per person, per property. So if there is 5 people owning the property, 5 people need to file it.
I see.
It's just depending on how many owners, they all need to do it.
Okay. And just because you're non-resident doesn't mean you can get away with it.
Yeah. Even though, to be honest, the taxman is much, much stronger with residents than with non-resident. Mm-hmm. But I always recommend clients to protect themselves, because if you're really a non-resident, try to prove it. Mm-hmm. The best way to prove it is login through the system that you are a non-resident. If you say nothing, then they could always have a question.
Well, they might want more money off you.
They might consider you as a resident, which is even worse.
Yeah.
Because they want to tax your worldwide assets. So the non-resident thing is a good thing. Well, one is because of the law. Two is because the way to protect yourself.
So the three main criteria for a person to be considered non-resident then is that they reside in the country for a period of less than 6 months.
Correct.
Person's main professional activities are not located in Spain.
Correct.
And the main members of the family unit, the spouse and children, do not reside in Spain for the whole year.
Correct.
Told you this was on your website, didn't
Yeah.
you? You think I've been swatting up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well done.
And can you save by doing this? Because you said obviously that it's more, you pay more taxes if you are resident. So it's better to establish yourself as non-resident in order to pay less.
Well, every tax code is specific and individual, okay? So it's very hard to talk general, what is best for each, because everybody will have a different information, different details. But the bottom rule here, if one is the law. The law says if you're spending less than 183 days, you are a non-tax resident. Obviously, you have the dual taxation treaty between Spain and the country that you are in. Okay, Spain has a lot of international treaties with a lot of countries. Okay, but in general terms, obviously, I mean, you only pay tax. For example, SUMA. You pay SUMA here. A lot of people say, well, it's nothing compared, especially the Americans. They say, well, the property tax here in Spain is peanuts compared to what they pay. But this is a state tax, which as well probably is less than SUMA. So probably per person on a 200,000 property that the tax value probably have, I would expect probably people pay more than 150 euros per year.
Okay, that's doable.
Right. So we're not talking about a lot of money.
What about when a non-resident, comes to sell their property?
Correct.
What happens there?
Right. You've got a good point. Then if you never did the non-resident tax, you've got an issue because you need to buck.
Another reason why it's better to
and then you have the searches and the interest, and then the 3%. When you sell a property as a non-resident, they always retain you 3% no matter what, and then you need to file the capital gain tax for a non-resident. But prior to that, it's compulsory to have the 4 years behind non-resident tax. Otherwise, they wouldn't give you the money.
That's the reason behind having the non-resident tax forms. Okay.
And but the most important thing, because you could say, okay, well, I'm not going to do it, and if they send me a bill, fine, that's one option. But the next question I will make to you is, how about if they think you're a resident? Wouldn't that be even worse?
We're going to pay more, aren't you?
Because if they consider that you're a resident and they have grounds to do it, you don't need that fight. And they have details because of the exchange of information between countries. Is it really worth it, And I leave it to everyone, but I could only say what the law states, and then everybody will have to make their own decisions on submitting.
And of course, there are other variables on non-resident tax as well, because, your property might just be sitting there with nobody in it, but if you're actually renting it, that's another scenario again.
Another scenario. And the way it's going, Carl, everything now, the artificial intelligence and exchange of information. And in the old days, people will not know. You remember these days that everybody will not. Okay, I don't know much, or they don't know much. Tax office doesn't know. But every year, they know more about a lot of things. So you transferring, let's say you're renting out your flat. The money's going to your bank account. It's going here in Spain. Bank might inform the taxman that is going in and out. So you have a lot of factors that, even though saying so, called, they're not very aggressive. The non-resident tax inspectors, they're not that. It's like the wealth tax. They're not very aggressive. So they're, don't see them pushing. Now the tax resident. The
different
inspectors,
story.
Yeah, it's a different story. I mean, when you get that letters, I even panic as well.
And you know how to beat them.
I know. Listen, in Alicante, which is the head office, Nuria will get every day when the postman comes. She puts a chair to him, and she goes one per one to see, telling him, yes, it's my client. I'm authorized. No, I'm not. So, but the tax office will send you 50 letters or 60 letters, and then you need to go one per one, because why would you take one if you're not representing the client? So it's a story. Taxman is always there after us.
He usually wins.
Yeah. Well, not always. We fight hard against him, because I consider that too pushy and sometimes unfair. But in the long run, if you take it, I mean, the problem, Carl, you get the aggravation. Mm-hmm. That's what I feel sorry for the clients, or even for myself, or for whoever, because
has to deal with it.
To start with, you start losing out because they take your money, or they do, and they say, "Oh, just prove the opposite." So you need to defend yourself, and unfortunately, it's every year. I mean, they could do an inspection every year because they could only go up to 4 years. Thank God.
Okay.
So, but anyway, we're here to help.